"Clean this up." The voice was loud, sharp, and filled with pride. It echoed through the wide hallway of the government building. People stopped walking. Conversations ended. Heads slowly turned toward the sound. A young soldier stood near the entrance. His name was Raven Cole. He wore his army uniform neatly, even though dust covered his boots. His shoulders were tired, but his back was straight. A small travel bag hung from his side. He had come directly from duty, without rest, to submit official papers. In front of him stood a senior manager of the building. The man wore an expensive suit and polished shoes. A gold watch shined on his wrist. His hair was perfectly styled, and his face carried the confidence of someone used to being obeyed. In his hand was a cup of hot coffee. The manager looked at Raven from head to toe. A small smile formed on his face. Slowly, on purpose, he loosened his grip. The cup fell. Coffee spilled across the clean marble floor. The manager pointed at the mess, then at Raven. "Hey, soldier," he said loudly. "You people are trained to follow orders, right? Clean this up." A few people laughed. Others whispered. Many pulled out their phones and began recording. The hallway filled with quiet excitement. Raven felt every eye on him. His heart tightened. His jaw clenched, but his face stayed calm. His hands remained still at his sides. He had faced bullets. He had faced enemies in dark nights, but this moment hurt more than any wound. Not because of pain, but because of humiliation. Raven came from a small village where life was simple but difficult. His father worked long hours in a factory for low pay. His mother cleaned houses to help feed the family. They lived in a small home with thin walls and little comfort, but there was always honesty inside it. From childhood, Raven was taught respect. His parents told him that dignity was something no one could take unless you gave it away. They told him to stay calm even when others were cruel. When Raven turned 18, he joined the army. Not because it was easy, not because it promised money. He joined because he wanted to serve his country. He wanted his parents to walk proudly in their village. Army life was hard. Training was painful. Days were long. Nights were cold. Raven marched for miles with heavy weight on his back. He followed orders without complaint. He learned discipline, patience, and control. He lost friends along the way. Some were injured. Some never came back. He attended funerals where mothers cried and fathers stood silent. Each loss stayed with him. The uniform was not just cloth to Raven. It was sacrifice. It was responsibility. Standing in that hallway, Raven remembered all of this. Slowly, quietly, he bent down. He picked up paper towels from a nearby desk. He wiped the spilled coffee from the floor. His movements were careful and steady. The manager watched with a proud smile. People recorded. Some laughed louder. Raven finished cleaning. He placed the used towels in a bin. Then he stood up and faced the manager. "Sir," he said calmly, "I'm here for official work." The manager's smile vanished. His face turned red with anger. "How dare you speak back?" he shouted. "You soldiers think you own this country? Without orders, you are nothing." Raven stayed silent. He did not raise his voice. He did not argue. The manager waved his hand and called security. He accused Raven of disrespect. He accused him of threatening behavior. The lies came easily. Security guards stepped in. Raven was taken aside. No one spoke for him. The phones kept recording. Later that evening, Raven sat alone in his small room. A legal notice lay on the table in front of him. A case had been filed against him by the manager. He stared at the paper for a long time. His hands shook slightly. He had followed rules. He had served honestly. Still, he was treated like dirt. Raven thought of his parents. He thought of his fallen friends. He felt anger rise inside him, but he pushed it down. He reminded himself of discipline. The court date arrived quickly. On the day of the hearing, Raven wore his uniform again. He polished his boots. He straightened his collar. He walked into the courtroom with quiet strength. The manager arrived smiling, wearing another expensive suit. He laughed with his lawyer. He looked confident, certain that his position would protect him. The judge entered. Everyone stood. The room became silent. The manager spoke first. His voice was loud and dramatic. He described Raven as aggressive and disrespectful. He said he felt unsafe. He mocked soldiers, calling them uneducated followers who should know their place. Raven listened without moving. When it was his turn, he stepped forward. "I did not disrespect anyone," Raven said. "I was insulted in public. I cleaned the floor because I believe discipline matters more than pride." The judge studied him carefully. "Why did you stay silent when you were mocked?" the judge asked. Raven replied, "Because my uniform represents patience and control." The judge nodded slightly. "Is there any evidence?" The judge asked. Videos were presented. Screens lit up. The courtroom watched as the manager dropped the cup, laughed, and insulted Raven. They saw Raven quietly cleaning the floor. Whispers filled the room. The judge paused the video and turned to the manager. "This is not your first complaint," the judge said. "There are records of you abusing staff and mocking workers." The manager tried to speak. The judge raised his hand. "No more," he said firmly. The room fell silent. "You will not go to prison," the judge continued, "but you will face justice." The manager smiled slightly, thinking he had escaped. Then the judge spoke again. "You will work as a janitor in this building for 6 months." The smile disappeared. "You will clean floors, wash bathrooms, and maintain halls. You will wear the uniform. You will report daily. You will learn dignity and respect." Gasps filled the courtroom. The manager stood frozen. Weeks passed. The once proud manager now wore plain clothes. He pushed a cleaning cart through the same hallways. He avoided eye contact. People watched him quietly. Some remembered how he laughed that day. One morning, Raven returned to submit papers again. He walked through the hallway calmly. He saw the former manager mopping the floor. Raven stopped. He looked at the man for a moment. Then he raised his hand and saluted, not in anger, not in pride, but in dignity. Raven walked away as people stood silently, understanding the lesson. Power can insult for a moment, but honor lasts forever.